What's up, guys? It's Lord Botha here with another video, and today we're going to talk about Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, a little TV show on Disney Plus that the vast majority of people are probably never going to see. Now, when the first trailer for this show dropped, everybody was talking about the race swaps with Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn and all that, and how the more comic book art style that they decided to go with just looked off-putting and weird. Well, they're in the news again because they've made yet another race swap. The woman before you is supposed to be Dr. Connors, aka the Lizard. And yes, you heard me right, the woman. Because not only have they race swapped Dr. Connors to being black, they've also made Dr. Connors a woman. And the explanation for this is... your guess is as good as mine. Now, here's the thing. If they had made Dr. Connors black and a woman, it would be weird and we'd all call it woke and DEI and whatever. But it's the fact they decided to make Doc Connors black and a woman on top of making Harry Osborn black and very questionable in his style. They decided to make Norman Osborn black, which I guess that makes sense since Harry's going to be black. At least they're keeping some basic genetic information correct. They also decided to make Flash Thompson black. They also made this new character, Miko, which I think is going to be a stand-in for MJ, into an Asian woman. And Peter has a crush on this one girl, I don't know what her name is, who seems to be a fair bit older than him, maybe an upperclassman, who is either black or Latin or some kind of mix. I don't know. I think she's supposed to be based off of the character that was in Tom Holland's first Spider-Man film, the daughter of the Vulture, something like that. And the real problem here with all that is it's compounding. Yes, we'd have a problem because wokeness and DEI, like I said, with just one character. But now it's clear that this was all just DEI agenda-minded stuff. You weren't just trying to add a little diversity here and there. You were trying to completely rewrite and flip the script on the character makeup, the physical character makeup of all these different characters. And the only reason you're doing that is because you can't make Peter Parker black. Because we already have a black version of Spider-Man called Miles Morales. Even though Miles Morales is not Spider-Man, he's Miles Morales. And there's nothing wrong with that. But he's not Spider-Man. Spider-Man is Peter Parker, who is white and nerdy. And one thing that Peter Parker definitely isn't is hip-hop. Like the awkward hip-hop that you shove into the opening of this show that nobody cares about. You know why? Because kids aren't going to watch this. It's one thing that Marvel seems to not understand. Whether it's cartoons or live action shows or the movies, Marvel is for the adults mostly. Now, I'm not saying to just go out there and make a whole bunch of rated R, super gory, violent, Daredevil-esque superhero shows. No, the boys convinced us that also can be gratuitous and boring as hell as well. What I'm saying is that children, kids, they're not interested in these kinds of shows. They're watching streams. They're watching other kind of cutesy cartoons. And if they are watching cartoons, they're watching cartoons that their parents were interested in. I grew up as a little kid liking Digimon. You know what I've been showing my daughter now that she's gotten to kind of an age that she can understand? Digimon. And you know what? She loves it. I have no incentive to show her this show when I don't like it. I don't like the kind of thing that's being presented with forced diversity and all that. And the reason why I say it's forced diversity points to a separate problem, which is an authenticity problem that I'll get to in a second. But because I don't like the premise of the show, there's already so much content from my childhood that's available, from my parents' childhood, from my grandparents' childhood. Why would I show her something new that I don't like, or I think sends a bad message, or I think is just poorly made? The second problem, the authenticity problem. And this gets to the core of the sort of anti-woke, anti-DEI movement that's existed for a while now, which is at the heart of this, people just don't like people being dishonest and disingenuous. People like authenticity. It's why YouTube and streaming has boomed in popularity the past few years. Because you're seeing people be authentic. You're seeing people act and behave in real time. The reason people don't like seeing this kind of thing is because they know writers sat around in a room and they talked about what race they were going to make certain characters. They know that at some core level, race and gender played some kind of participation in how they were going to create these characters, when it shouldn't have. They should have just adapted the characters in their looks from the comics, from the stories. It already exists. Because when you change fundamentals, recognizables, already established things from the stories of my parents' generation or my generation, when we see you do that, it's messing with our childhood and how we perceive those characters at both a surface level and at a core level, which is off-putting to us. So why would we show it to our kids if we don't like it? The truth is, you did that to try to appeal to adults that really don't watch this kind of stuff, or don't have children that want to pass along these characters and these stories to the next generation. You made it for a niche audience of woke, highly political people that love the idea of all these race-swapped and gender-swapped characters, but don't actually care to follow the stories or to actually go view the product. And I might get some people in my comments being like, this looks great to me, I'm still gonna go see it, blah, blah, blah. And those are the people I'm talking about. And the truth is, they're lying. They're not gonna go see it. Because if that was true, all these shows in live action and in animation that have had this happen already, they wouldn't have done so terrible in the ratings. I mean, we just had the Luminant numbers come out, and all the shows that the anti-woke, anti-DEI movement were saying were terrible and no one was watching, about lesbian space witches, and a Marvel lesbian coven of witches, and a Lord of the Rings show that was all about shipping characters together. They were all gigantic failures. And here we are again with the same set of circumstances, telling you that this show is going to be a failure. And I think it's already been okayed for like 2 more seasons. So hopefully it's really, really cheap for them to make. Because if they had taken feedback on previous projects and actually adjusted and changed, and yes, I know this thing has been down the pipeline for years, back when they thought this stuff was more palatable. But even then, people were telling them, we didn't want this. And they didn't listen. Because if they had listened, this thing wouldn't have ever been made. But that's the core of it. It's the disingenuous nature. It's the gaslighting. It's the telling us we're bigots when we notice or say that this is bad and that it is disingenuous. It's all of that that really gets people to be firmly against this kind of product. And you can best believe I am firmly against this kind of product. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go and leave them in the comments. If you like this video, go and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I appreciate you watching all of it, and we'll talk to you again later.